Yeah, it's
All
awesome.
right, perfect, man. Thank you for calling, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for following us, watching us, man. How's everything going?
No, everything's good, man. We love your content. Me, my wife, mother-in-law, we all watch your shows, man. We love it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You had a chance to check out some of those WREs, huh?
We checked out all of them. The first one, the second one,
Yeah, hey,
all
that
of them.
second one was fire. You know, I like to keep it real, man. And some people wrote they had their hands around my neck about that first one. And you know, I just had to call it from and I do that because I want to bring it from a coach's perspective. But boy, that second one was off glass. I loved it. I
We
loved the
appreciate
second
it.
one.
We appreciate the first one, but we really appreciate the second one.
Yeah,
That's for
man.
sure.
Definitely.
But yeah,
Definitely, man.
this
So talk to us,
this
man. Talk to us.
yeah, yeah, man. I got to be in Green Tree last week. I went to two practices for the spring, and let me tell you, man, those coaches are for real, man. Those coaches, they're yelling on the kids like it's supposed to be, like intimidating these kids. They got a drill around a hula hoop, and Gaddis is lighting these kids up, man. Like they couldn't get it right, and I mean, he's just it's a coach, man. You know what I mean? Like
With the
being, I
bag,
know
right?
you're a
When they
high
go
school
around
coach,
the bag, they hit
but
them
if
with the
you're a
bag.
college coach,
Yeah, yeah,
man,
yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to be, man. That's the way it's supposed to be.
No, that's awesome, man. So let me ask you this. Now, your son was recruited through Manny Diaz.
Yeah, so we were recruited really through the OC who was Lashley, because we're up in
Correct.
Dallas. We're from Miami, but we're up in Dallas now. And so Lashley from SMU had recruited Elijah when Elijah had like one offer from like I don't know Connecticut or UConn or something.
Okay.
So that was like his second offer was SMU, and he had been to SMU 2 3 times, coach's house, big barbecues, all that stuff. And when Lashley went to the U, he called Elijah the same week. He said, "Hey, I got to offer you the U." Man, I've been a Canes fan since a long time, man. Since Elijah was born, even. I mean, he's got his room was Canes, right, when he was little.
I love it.
So I went up to his room, filled it up with orange and green balloons, man. And he already had the LSU's, the Alabamas. He had all these offers. That's the only time I filled his room up with balloons when he got the Canes. That was it, man. I was like, "We're gonna be Canes, man. We're gonna be Canes."
I love
So
it, man. That's an awesome feeling. It's funny you say you're in Dallas. I got some family out there off of Malcolm X and Hamburger Drive. Coach got family a little bit everywhere over there by Erica Badu's theater, man. But uh yeah, I've been in Dallas quite a bit. I know quite a few people in that area. And they got some good football there, man. They got some really good football
man,
there.
high school football is crazy here, man. Like you have no idea. We didn't know because we're from my wife's from Miami. I'm from Miami. We had no idea there was that kind of fan base. You go to a playoff game, and there
Hmm.
might be 15, 20,000 people, and the practices, like everything. I mean, you just see it. It's just like they treat them like D1 athletes, all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when you get to these stadiums in Allen, McKinney, all these big cities here in Dallas, they're spending 50, 60 million on a football stadium at the high school. So
Wow.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's definitely it's something we never saw in Miami. That's for sure. I went to Miami Killian, so
Okay. Hey, so I almost said, so I almost said, but you end up telling me, I would say, man, y'all made the ultimate sacrifice. Y'all moved to Miami to follow your son, but really this is where your roots are.
yeah, our roots are in Miami. My wife born and raised in Miami. I went to high school in Miami. We
Okay.
went to UCF, but I never stopped being a Canes fan.
Gotcha.
And I always took my kids to the Hurricanes games, winning, losing, whatever. We were always going to the Canes game. And
Hmm.
for us, it's just like, man. I mean, I have my garage, my I have the weights, everything in my garage, all you. It was all the youth for the last 5 6 years. So I don't
Good.
know. I don't know how it came together, but it came together. But at the end of the day, man, this whole new era with the coach with Cristobal, it's huge, man. Like people like Elijah, they
Hmm.
really took a leap of faith. Ja'Cory Brown. I
Hmm.
mean, I met Ja'Cory when we played Alabama in Atlanta,
Okay.
and I said what's up to him and everything. I saw him there, and we didn't look that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he still
Yeah.
signed up. And so these
Yeah.
kids got to be feeling pretty good now because they took a leap of faith. Said, know what, we're gonna do it. It's Hurricanes, we're gonna do it.
I love it.
And we didn't have a great season last year. You know what I mean? It was okay, or the year
Hmm.
before when they were recruiting these kids,
Right.
and now they got it all. They've got some of the best coaches. They got the facilities coming together. So I'm just happy for them, man. Happy for them, big time.
That's good. Let me ask you this since now I have you on here. Your son, they've done it 3 days. They were on spring break. They're getting ready to start back tomorrow. Am I correct?
They get back tomorrow, and then Tuesdays. I think it's Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday is the actual spring practice. But yeah, they get back to like weight room stuff like that
Right.
tomorrow.
So what has he told you? What is the biggest difference? Right. And we're not here to knock any program, but there are
Yeah, no,
differences.
for sure,
Well,
man.
what is the biggest difference?
It's
Well,
all
what is the
positive, man.
yeah, what is the
But I think the
biggest
biggest
difference
difference right
in
now is the day to day when they're doing strength and conditioning. I think a big thing that he's talked about is that everything they're doing is based off football. So it's
Mm,
how's it going to make a tight end a better tight end? How's it going to make a quarterback a better quarterback? You know, so they're not. And he said, our strength and conditioning say he doesn't want Olympic, weightlifters. You know what I mean? So it's making a lot of sense, and what they're eating is way better, man. I don't know. I saw, uh, you know, Elijah's roommates were Andy Garcia. I'm sorry, were Jake Garcia, Borregales. These kids. When I
mhm,
saw them last week, these kids look leaner. They look more muscle, and they
mhm.
said they're not eating the garbage that they were eating before. Not to knock before. I'm just saying they're eating
Sure.
better, and they look mean and like they look good, man. I'm telling you.
I got you. Let me ask you this part. So as I broke down the portion of Josh Gaddis's press conference, and he talked about tight ends, and he brought up your son. Not to put the cat out the bag, but is there any truth to the 12 personnel? Maybe there may be two tight ends. Will there be? Do you think there may be a rotation in there with between them, or maybe a packaging of your son?
I mean, just talking to Elijah, he's told me that they are working on a lot of packages like this that that kind of emulate what they did at Michigan with a lot of two tight ends, you
Mhm,
know. But what they say they're going to do, what they're going to do, I have no idea. But it sounds like the guy, if you're smart, you play to your strengths, And it sounds like Gaddis has an idea of what the strengths are, and he's said a lot of good things about the tight end room. So I hope it gets to that where they're splitting reps between tight ends or using two at the same time.
mhm.
But I think those coaches are there to win. Those coaches aren't there to mess around and look for excuses afterwards. I mean, they're getting paid a lot of money. They definitely they don't want to come with any excuses. So if they've got high level running back, they're going to give him the ball. If they got a high level tight end, they're going to get him the ball. I just feel like they're just going to whoever shows that they're serious in practice, they're going to get those opportunities. And I don't think you have to give Elijah too many opportunities, man. He's going to show you what he can do, So that's a good thing for him.
I got you. Let me ask you this from a parent standpoint for yourself and your wife. As you look at this, and I'm asking you this too for our future recruits, because I'm gonna probably chop this up and use this to help our recruit get us some more recruits. How do you think, from a parent's perspective, how do you receive Mario Cristobal and his staff because they didn't recruit him, but their interaction with your son and what maybe he may say about it?
Well, we actually, did most of our recruiting with Coach Fields, who's the tight end coach.
Hmm.
And Coach Fields is just a good dude. He's one of these guys who's helping these kids out with personal stuff, with anything. And he's one of the only guys that stayed on staff. From what I understand, like he's one of the few that I
I think
think
he's the only on-staff coach that stayed, Coach Fields.
I
Yes.
think he maybe he's one of the few, right? I don't know if he's the only one, but it feels like he is the only one.
Yeah. I mean, so far
So
as the 10 coaches, he is the only one that stayed on staff.
and I can tell you why, man. He told us all the right things, but he always told Elijah, hey, you're gonna have to work, and that's what we like. Um, Elijah's never been spoiled. He's always worked for what he had. He always works, puts in extra hours, extra time. The
Mhm.
pandemic, he was working out 2 a days, everything like that. So I think he liked that, that Coach feels about, hey, put in work, put in work. You're gonna get what you want, but you gotta put in work.
True.
And yeah, man, I think this new coach is they're showing South Florida, the University of Miami is showing South Florida that they're serious about football. So you're obviously showing the parents that you're serious about coaching up your kids. You're showing, the fans that you're serious about. You want them to keep buying tickets. So yeah, no, it's definitely positive. It's definitely positive for parents.
Mhm. Let me ask you, do you see a difference in financial things being done at the university from what you saw last year? Do you see the money moving already? I know you talked about the training table and the kind of food they ate, which that tells a lot. And again, it's not a knock because I talked earlier about the top brass having to invest. You may have to invest $1 to make two, but can you see the dollars moving amongst around the campus and through the program and the
Well,
players?
I see the dollars going into the players' pockets. I tell you that I can see that. That's happening. Like, I mean, I can't tell you about the facility. I think actually people don't give the other administration enough credit because those dorms, everyone knew the dorms were terrible, you
Hmm.
know? And those dorms actually were built right when Elijah went in. He was the first one. 2021 was one of the first classes to be in that building.
Hmm.
And I think that had a lot to do, that's the only people that were in that building were athletes, whether it be girls soccer, football, basketball, you name it. It's a beautiful building, man. It looks at the lake. You got all these areas for studying with ping pong tables, Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
It's a legit, residential, student athlete center. So that kind of I actually came a year ago, but I don't, I can't really tell you what's new in the facility. But it's not a bad facility. Like we've been to the LSU's, we've been to the Alabamas, and at the end of the day, the kids are gonna spend how many hours in the actual locker room, right? You get 5, 6 home games. It's not, you know what I mean? That's not really. It's just fluff, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, LSU has a lounge chair and you sit in your pod and everything. But how many times you actually gonna be in this home game locker room? Not
Right.
that much. So,
And
I
it's
think
funny
more
you say,
importantly,
and it's funny you say that because I just said, what does a disco ball in the locker room had to do with winning football games? I said it earlier in the show, and well, you're just actually making my point. But again, a lot of players, maybe not your son, but a lot of players and a lot of people are me now, right? Everybody has to take. I was at home last week, or actually a couple hours ago, and I went out, and man, everybody taking selfie with duck lips. And I'm like, what is going on here in the world? It's a me thing, and everybody making TikToks, And so, with that being said, that's just part of the things in order to entice kids to say, hey, I want to come here. Like I say, a lounge chair. I have to be honest with you. If I had an opportunity to lay down and go to sleep, I'd rather go get in my bed instead of lay down in a stinking locker room, which they probably got all kind of ventilation stuff. But I'm just saying, nothing's better than your bed. I don't care what nobody say. You know what I mean?
no, man. And what's really gonna help recruiting? Look, when they get recruits, what do? They like Skinner. What do? They pair him with a guy like Elijah, right, for a weekend. They
Mhm.
bring him down to the Ritz Carlton in Miami. But what is he gonna ask Elijah? He's gonna ask Elijah, man, what's it like? You know what I mean? Like what's this thing like? Like what's it about?
Mhm.
So if the players are happy, if Elijah's happy, then these players, you know what I mean? You can't. These kids aren't gonna lie to each other. You know what I mean? If
Right.
it's messed up, they're gonna say, man, it's kind of messed up.
Sure it
They're
is.
only gonna say, I mean, they're only gonna say what's real. So right now, you got these kids, and I'm gonna just, I'm gonna say it. These kids are getting paid down in Miami. They're getting paid a lot more than kids up here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. They're getting paid a lot more than kids up in UCF, Orlando.
Mhm.
They're getting deals, So that's gonna help big time too, because now they're saying, yeah, it's good. We're getting this, and not only that, but we got this coming in. So I think recruiting, we should be good with that. I mean, you got you got not only Coral Gables, you got UM. You walk around the campus, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
But these players are telling the other players, we got something good going, you know. So I think it's looking real good for recruiting.
No, that's great. I want to ask one question. A lot of people have been asking, and maybe you guys have had opportunity to speak about it. Is the stadium a big deal? Like to the players? I know maybe to the fan base because we're used to the Orange Bowl, but to these new players who have probably like your son never saw the Orange Bowl, or he probably he doesn't remember it. Does that make a difference that they play in the Hard Rock, or do they have to have their own stadium from the player's perspective? Is that something you guys may have talked
I
about?
I don't think it's a big deal, man. I think they actually feel pretty good about playing. You know, hey, we play where the Dolphins play. Like that's what Elijah would say. He was like, you know, we play in a pro stadium. We play in the Hard Rock. It's a big venue.
Right.
So I don't see that as a problem. I think business wise, you know, I've seen the Texas A&Ms, and I've been down there. It's 100,000 people, and each box is worth $2-3 million. Okay,
Wow.
so business wise, it makes sense to build your own stadium. I know why these business leaders in Miami are talking about building a stadium. It pays for itself. I don't know how many years, but it's definitely it's a good business, right? So
Sure.
you can't do that at the Hard Rock. You can't sell. You know, if Mr. Arroyo wants to buy a box for $1 million, they can't sell it because they don't own the stadium. You know, so
Correct.
it's a different business model, and I think it makes more sense for the school, the kids. You know, I don't. You know, they're from all over, right? These kids are from California to Texas to Jacksonville, you know, Orlando. They're from all over the place. They just want to play, you know. So
Sure.
I don't think it's a big deal. Not really.
The only thing I'm gonna say I hate that they did it again because we all know that Stephen Ross doesn't have any allegiance to the University of Miami was the fact that they made the whole stadium teal. If they would have left it orange, where both you understand, like when you walk in as the
Yeah.
Hurricane, like if you go to any other stadium, the color scheme works. So I get that part, but it's just that's what I think throws it really off. Now I like what they've done, the modifications, all this, the renovations that they've done. But when they made everything teal, it was like we separating ourselves. Forget what y'all talking about, you will. You know what I mean? And it's not like you can do a basketball arena like when the Heat go in and they cover all the seats with white or whatever they do to make it look bigger. It was just so much different because
Yeah,
and
you're right.
it's
And the seats are teal, and
and it's really teal
everything's
too. It ain't
solid.
even like a
Yeah,
green is
solid.
teal. It's aqua.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's the thing that really, from a visual standpoint, it kind of throws it off and makes it feel that way. But I want to ask you one last question before we get out of here. What is it that because here's what I saw when I saw your son get in, he got in some reps last year. I thought he did extremely well. Again, young guy got in, just getting his feet wet. Nothing wrong with that. What is it that you as a parent want the fan base to know about your son, whether it's on the field or off the field?
I mean, look, he's a grown man. His work ethic is gonna show on the field. It shows. You know, I was there in Green Tree last Friday. They put on the pads, and I mean, him and Jafari Harvey had a collision. You know what I mean? Like these dudes were going at it. You know, these dudes were out there to put on the pads, make contact, and show the coaches that they're football players. You know, these kids, they're out there. They got something now to prove again. You understand?
Mhm.
So I think he's ready to prove himself. You know, any given time, whether it's on Green Tree, he's ready to prove himself. If it's up here, you know, at Texas A&M playing the Aggies, he's gonna show out. He's gonna prove that he's gonna earn. He wants to earn what he wants. I think you're gonna see someone who's still hungry. You know, so he's there. Um, I think being a freshman, he played a lot,
Mhm.
but I think it was good that Mallory had the big role. You know, the hey, this is our starter, this is our guy. There was
Sure.
a lot of pressure, so I think he's I think everything's going well for him. I think he's right where he needs to be, and I think he continues to work, and I saw it on Green Tree, last week. These guys it's almost like they're freshmen again in a way that they have new coaches, so they got to prove themselves, So it's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great, man. Like I said, Mr. Roy, I've seen you in the comment section before. Sometimes you don't know if that's somebody's real father or not, but when you said it, I was like, okay, now because man, look, I done had everybody in here from Michael Vick. It seemed like people be just what they call it, trolling you. So it was a pleasure to speak with you. Like I said,
you keep it so positive, man. We appreciate you, man. Like, we listen all the time, and yeah, man, it's a real Canes fan. I mean, we're up here, Dallas, with 305, so we die. I mean, we're always gonna be Canes fans, So we know when people are real Canes fans, and I think you got something real positive, and you guys, it's not always perfect. These guys mess up like everyone, and the program has been up and down. But it's just keep it positive. These are young men, so we gotta keep it positive.
I love it, man. Like I say, we don't bash players, but if you can't stop the fan base, that's what they do. And I'm just saying this from a former coach to you, and I don't know if your son will see this or you can tell him this. At the end of the day, he does what he does. Go out there and do your best, my man. And that's all you can do. You know what I mean? Enjoy this process. Enjoy this time. Because before you know it, he'll be throwing a cap in the air, right? With his degree and moving on to whatever his next endeavor, whether it's NFL or whatever the job may be, whatever it may be, man. So enjoy this time. It comes and it goes relatively quickly. Like I said, think about it. It's been a year already for him. Just that fast, man. So enjoy this time, man. Do what you got to do. Seems to be a pretty bright guy, very competitive. Get in there, have fun with it, man, and really enjoy it. And we definitely be rooting for him.
I appreciate you, Coach, man. Y'all have a blessed night. Go Canes basketball.
Yeah, man. I saw that they were up. Somebody said they were up, man. So that's pretty cool, man.
They're up. Yep. All right, Coach.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. You're more than welcome to call in anytime. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, man.
Bye now.